Hey, fam. If it is Wednesday, it is Wine Lovers Wednesday. And I am here with Christina, who is my partner in crime in the Wine Concierge. And
Cheers.
yes, cheers. Say hello, Christina.
Hello, wine lovers. How is everybody doing today?
Please post your comments in the chat, and if you have any questions for us. So I'm super, like I always say I'm excited, but I'm super excited um, because we are going to taste wine today, and not like the normal me sipping along with
Yes.
everyone. We're going to taste wine today, and the wine that we're going to taste is from our summer wine collection from Shades of Vino, our wine club. Um, and the wine club has 24 selections. So if you're not familiar with the wine club and you're not a wine club member, let me tell you about it. This is not my sales pitch, but this helps you understand what we're going to do today. So we have a club called Shades of Vino, and it's a quarterly club. And we have within the club, there are two clubs. There's the club, and then there's the Premier Club. So think of the Premier like the Reserve Club. And if you're out there, put in the chat. We want to know who we're chatting with today. So we picked 24 wines
24.
each quarter. 24
It's a lot.
each quarter.
It's a lot you have
It's
to
a lot
go
of wine.
through.
It's a lot of discussion and what have you.
Yes.
And then we say to our members, here are your wines. And from there, they can pick 3, 6, 12. They can pick, and we give them a suggested selection.
Right.
But you can go in there and it's like drink what you like. You can say, I want all reds. I want all whites. I want from this region or what have you. But each month, it has a theme. Each quarter it has a theme. And so this quarter was off the beaten path.
And they are off the beaten path.
they're off the beaten path. So, and I've kind of talked about this before, but we picked wines from Bolivia. It was the Sangiovese from Bolivia. We picked wines from Uruguay. We picked wines from
Greece.
We picked wines from Germany. And then I always say that wine has to be inclusive, right? Because you don't get the full breadth of wines. So in addition to the different regions, we picked wines from winemakers who are Latin, who are Native American, who are women and Latin, because we want people to see that just because we come in different shapes, colors, and sizes, we still make really good wine.
Yes. All different cultures. So many.
All different cultures.
It's
exactly.
A great blend.
So Christina and I were talking, and of course, people were like, well, what is your favorite wine? And I always say it's like picking from our children. But today,
right,
we picked our favorite wines to sip with you guys. And if you are a member of the club or you just have something in your glass, put it in the chat. Let us know what your favorite wines were in this collection. Let us know what you're drinking now. What's your favorite summer wine?
Absolutely. It's not just about those wines.
Right.
I mean, share with us what you really love, because we do want to know.
We do want to know. And that also makes a difference of like what we'll pick for the next quarter, because we want, I always say, I want people to explore the world through their wine glass. And this collection really did. It hit almost the four corners of the world.
It really did.
Yeah,
it hit the corners and kind of crisscrossed around.
Right.
I mean, this was like the kind of complete, because you have traditional grapes, you have familiar grapes, you have really unusual grapes, but they're from all over and just places and from producers and winemakers that you just wouldn't think to purchase from, or you wouldn't even think to look for.
Yes.
It's really exciting. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the fun of being in a wine club, right? Because someone is kind of doing the selections for you, and then you can go and figure out what you want. But that, like,
Yep.
stuff you wouldn't normally pick up in the wine store. So
Exactly.
what Christina and I decided to do was we were picking our favorites, but we didn't tell each other which one is our favorite, which ones. And so we agreed to pick two. Christina, of course, being Christina, she picked three. So
But
she has her top three. She has her. Do you have it with you? Do you have the
I have a top like 12 because
Okay.
honestly, there isn't any that I don't like, but I picked two that are my favorite, and for more than just the reason that they're my favorite. So I'm excited to see what you have, but I picked three because I thought maybe Leslie and I might pick the same because we both like a lot of the similar wines
Same,
in this
yeah.
particular selection. So I'm pretty excited.
So we're going to reveal, and I'm sorry, I was putting in the chat and I said let us know your fam, but I'm sorry, I'm going to redo that. It's let us know your favorite wine.
Yes.
So okay, so yeah, let us know your favorite wine, or let us know your favorite wine from the summer, which you're drinking this summer that you just like. Oh man, I just can't get enough of it. So on three,
I'll hold them up.
you hold your bottles up. Okay. On three, one.
I hope we pick different ones.
I hope so too. Two, three.
We did.
Oh, we did. We did.
Oh my gosh. That was my third one. Was that the spay?
Yeah, this is the spay. I'm sorry, my ring. Here we go. Here's the spay.
Okay, so that was my third one, and I was like, I know we're gonna pick that one.
That was your third one?
Yes, I have the Gaia, which is the high end, and then I have a much lower price point, high price point, low price point. But I'm gonna talk these two up like crazy. Let me tell you.
Okay, so why don't you pour the white? I'm gonna open up.
Okay.
The sec.
You get the sect. I was like, I really hope she gets a bubbly. And I seriously, I picked up two. I told her I picked up two, and I looked at him and I'm like, Leslie's going to pick those. And I put them back. And one of them was the sect, but I actually, the other one. So there you, yeah, I thought about the deal, but I actually picked up the sect because I hadn't tried, anything from like bubbly from the Rudesheim from that area. So I really, really wanted to try that one. And I was like, I can't really say it's a favorite, but I'll probably love it anyway.
So Joe, thanks for watching with us. And Kita is a great wine. And let me know if you've tried her new label. If you tried Mrs. Gomez's new label, Camin to Drain.
Oh, that's going to be a really yummy one. Yes.
That's her new, well, it's newish label. Okay, so
you open the sect. I'm opening the Chateau Vartley.
Yes. I like the Vartley.
I do too. This was really unexpected.
And oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're going to say the same thing because of the wine that we are waiting on, because it was popular and there's production backlog and just different things with transport. So that was the Taking Root, I believe, right?
Yes. And hopefully I heard that it may be in soon, just in time for September's Club.
Well, we substituted this wine for it. It just kind of was by chance last minute, and it was absolutely spectacular. So a very, very nice surprise for sure.
And what makes that wine really unique? Go ahead.
Started already.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Didn't disappoint last time and does not now.
I
really love this wine. So I actually learned a couple of really interesting things about this wine, but for me, this is a really cool, exciting story because they're a fairly new winery. The property actually started making wine around 1996, and this wine is from a country called Moldova, Chateau Vartley, and the varietal is Viorca. And it's from Moldova. Moldova is like nestled between Romania and the Ukraine, and it's kind of right up against the Black Sea. And it has a very unique climate and soil, all sorts of different things. Um, but in a very, very short period of time, they started doing commercial production with the Viorca in around like 2004. And in a short period of time, they have become like emblematic to their country. Very, very popular. They're in the top three for like just wine popularity in Moldova, but internationally, they have won many awards. They're highly acclaimed. They're making top quality products as far as all of the different things that they have. And they actually have 5 different series of
Oh, I
wine.
didn't realize that.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one is called their Totem series. And the Totem series kind of encompasses their acknowledgement of the native land and its legends. And the Viorca grape is 100% local. It is a child hybrid of the French Ciboule grape.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm going to, I have to think of this like in my head, Aleata, Aleatico. So that is the red Italian grape, Aleatico. So basically, those 2 grapes went rolling down a hill and produced the Viorica, and that's kind of how that happens. And it's a beautiful wine. It's like crisp and just bursting with like citrus and lychee, and it reminds me a little bit of like floral spice
Mm-hmm.
and candied
Mm-hmm.
apricots, but it's not sweet. It's
It's
not
not.
sweet.
It's not sweet at all. And
No.
um, I just want people to realize that this traditionally is made as a red wine,
Yes.
and so
Red
they
grape producing white wine, basically.
yes, yes, basically that's what they did, and it's and honestly, we just stumbled on it because we had something else planned for the club, and that did not come in. It's still sitting on a ship someplace. And
Yes.
so, literally at the last minute, our distributor said, "Here, try this one." And I'm glad we did.
I'm glad we did too. There was something else I found out that was really cool about this place. So, did you know that originally it started when they were growing grapes on the land back in the 90s? They actually started doing tourism at the facility because of their architecture. So, they
Hmm.
have a wine museum. And I didn't know this, but Moldova is home to some of the biggest cellars in the world.
That's very interesting. And I
Isn't
think,
it?
you know what? It's probably like the shift of probably in that area.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Alicia. Yes. Oh, she's got some good ones. I have
The
this.
Belay
I
Rosé.
don't know if you just joined us, Alicia, but I have the sec, the
Mm-hmm.
Pinot sec that I'm going to talk about. But probably geographically, that was a center of power, so that would make sense.
It does make sense. And they actually, Russia had an embargo so that Moldova, they couldn't sell any of their local grapes, like they couldn't sell it out. So there was a lot of back and forth with that. So they're kind of just coming into their own now. And
Mm-hmm.
I think with a little bit more of the freedoms that they've recently had, these types of things are going to start coming out. This price point for this wine is a 15 and under. It's like a 12 to $15 range. And honestly, this is an everyday drinker. And let me tell you what I had it with. Like, what was it, 3 weeks ago when I tried some? Okay, it was Sunday morning, eggs
Uh-huh.
Benedict.
Did you really?
I did. Sunday morning, eggs Benedict. Oh my gosh, green onion, the hollandaise, the creamy that cut through the
Yeah,
citrus
that would make
acidity.
sense.
Um, it was absolutely spectacular. And like this would be great with like shellfish or grilled fish, any kind of like fresh salad, fruit
I
salad
you
even.
I think I had it with I had it with cauliflower rice,
That makes
like
perfect sense.
creamy.
Starchy. Yeah,
Yeah,
creamy.
it was really good.
It's so soft on the tongue, but it's really fresh and really crisp. And again, this is like 100% Viorica. This is a local grape. It is not grown anywhere else. So you're not going to find it anywhere else. This one is can you see, Alicia? I think she just asked. The Chateau Vartley, the Viorica from Moldova.
Yes.
Yes. And there, it's Cahul is the wine growing region. It's like the southern part of Moldova. So it's like
Hmm.
you have Romania and you have Ukraine, and Moldova kind of sits a little bit like a V, ironically enough, it right in between there. And they're kind of right down at the bottom. So they get that Mediterranean, they get that climate that comes through off the Black Sea. And then you have a lot of the dryness on the other side. So it's kind of, hi, Chanel. It's kind of
Oh,
pretty cool.
so I would like everyone to know that tomorrow is Chanel Evans' birthday.
Woohoo!
Um, and just in case you don't know Chanel, she is our media strategist extraordinaire. But tomorrow is Chanel's birthday, and she is accepting all Starbucks gift cards and any other presents. So happy birthday, Chanel.
I'll meet you there, Chanel. Happy birthday. Yeah, the Chateau Vartley is like wine club. This is an everyday drinker. So on the lowest price point, probably in some of the, I would put it in the top quality of the wines that we've had. So I think it was a great surprise.
It
Absolutely
was it was
spectacular.
an absolutely, and it is something that you could drink, and it's friendly to drink with other people who aren't big white wine drinkers. I really
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Yes. If you don't like white wine, like you're not big on Chardonnay, you've got to try it. If you're not big on Pinot Grigio or Sauv Blanc, you've got to try it.
You
It's
gotta
just,
have the, yeah, and it's I would say it's like medium, almost to full body.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Oh,
if
very
you're
much so.
not like, if you're sensitive to high acid wines, this is, you don't have to worry about that with this one. This is great.
Completely agree.
So I have,
Yes.
cheers. I have the sec. I have the Pinot Sec,
The Carl
and
Erhard.
yes, from
Earhart.
from the Rheingo. So before we went live, I was listening to the pronunciation, and one of them said round go, and the other one was round go. So Ringo, excuse me, Ringo. So if you if someone knows the correct pronunciation of this region in Germany, which is one of the big growing regions in Germany, it's one of the 5 growing regions in Germany.
It
Please
is.
put the phonetic pronunciation of it in the chat. I really would appreciate it, because I have the worst American tongue.
Well, Google, like we were saying earlier, Google isn't necessarily the best
Right.
answer for this, because a lot of times when they translate with the American inflection. So there's a little bit of, I think, like, the North and the South pronunciation with certain words can be different.
Hmm.
And like I was telling Leslie earlier, I had worked with somebody who was from Alsace, which was French and then German and then French and German back and forth. And they say Rheingau. So it was kind of quick and short, like with a gow, like your
Gal.
GOW.
Right. So that's how like Westset pronounces it.
Yes.
And then I looked up, well, how does a native? And then they said
Rheingau.
Rheingo.
Yep.
So, but
Who knows?
regardless, it's good. So
It is
if
very good.
people aren't familiar with sex are German sparklings, essentially. So like France has their sparkling, champagne, Italy has theirs, Prosecco. Sec is Germany's. But the interesting thing about this and why it made it to off the beaten path is because normally secs are Riesling. Riesling is usually the grape of choice that's used. This one is a Pinot Noir. And
Yes.
I've never had a Pinot Noir sec. And it is, you would even think it's not a whole lot of effervescence in here. The bubbles are really soft, very light.
Very
You don't
fine.
even, yeah, very refined. There's not a mousse on it at all. And the interesting thing too about this is that they're vintages. And you don't often find vintages with sparklings because they're taking it from different areas, but this one is a 2018, and you can actually kind of taste like it may have been barrel aged a little, because there's a little toast on the
Yeah.
palate with it,
Okay.
and the color, you can tell that there was some type of contact, not just from the skin contact, but there was some type of aging contact that was probably associated with this. But it is magnificent. It's like nothing I have ever tasted before. It fills your mouth up. It has just enough effervescence that it's not overwhelming. Very
Sounds like the free
enjoyable.
cocktails to a party.
I know. Very enjoyable on the palate. And those, a lot of people equate Riesling sweet. They equate German Sachs sweet, high in
Right.
acid. So they are not drinking them. This is totally, totally the opposite. Like,
You know, you said something, sorry to interrupt, but
mhm,
I was thinking this. You said something before that is very interesting to me. The fact that it's not a Riesling, it's a Pinot Noir. And I know
it's
a
a
lot of
Pinot
people
Noir.
are probably thinking, well, Pinot Noir is a red grape. But again, two very similar themes, totally different wines,
Exactly.
going back to produced from a red grape, you have the light juice.
Exactly. And people often forget, champagne, a lot of the cap classiques are made with Pinot Noir,
Pinot
the
Meunier.
um
Yep.
the Gamay, the those grapes that are Noir de Blanc, those are those red grape sparkling wines. So, don't sleep on it just because it's a Pinot Noir. They are producing some wonderful sparklings.
Yes, most definitely. I really, really like the idea of that one. I haven't tried it. I really wanted to try it. And that's why I didn't pick it as a favorite, because I was so excited. I was like, I know it's going to be a favorite if I try it, but I'm going to bet Leslie's going to pick a sparkling. So I'm not doing
I do. I'm so predictable. I'm not going to be predictable anymore. I probably am. I am. And Alicia had it, and she said it's delightful. It was unexpected. Like, Alicia, if you're still there, did you expect that when you tried it, those flavors when you tried it? If you could put in the chat and let us know. But I was really expecting something really light and bubbly, airy.
it. Hmm.
I was expecting a little more acid on it, but it isn't. It definitely is not. And I was not expecting something full body with this. And it's great. It's it's definitely a conversation starter, if nothing else.
Both of these wines that we've picked, and not just because they're off the beaten path, but like, I mean, they're definitely conversation starters, but they were both very surprising and
Yes.
very, very pleasing. I was very happy with the Vartley. I think it
Yeah, the
was a
Bartley
really, really
is,
good substitution.
yeah. And oh yeah, so Alicia said, yeah, not at all. So she didn't expect that at all. And those wine club members who did get the Bartley, that is your bonus bottle.
Yes.
um you are still going to get the taking root, so you probably will get it in your September, because it doesn't make sense to send it out now, but you will get it in your fall collection. So if you were a 3 bottle person, now you get 4 bottles. If you're 6 bottles, we just got to figure out how we're going to do that.
That's
But
a little extra bonus you get this
you get it,
quarter.
you get an extra, you get an extra one for that, and just for being patient with us. Definitely that one. Are you ready to move on to your red?
I am. And this one is, people oftentimes say price is reflective of quality. And I don't always agree in the same sense that just because it's a pricey wine or a higher end wine, or like, let's say a wine over 35, that it's going to always be what you want or what you expect. It might be a quality wine, but not always what you expect. So I chose this one here. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to try to put this up close. So this is Gaia, and it's Gaia Estate Wines. And this is from Nemea, Greece. And I actually got that pronunciation from a family member who is Greek. And so I was able to confirm that that is the appropriate pronunciation, Nemea, of that region. So the Gaia Estate is what I like to call an over 45 and an under 60. And for me, that's still a right off the shelf drinker because it's not too high end, but it's just right if you want something special, but you maybe even just want it for yourself and you don't want to share it and you want to open something really nice, or you want to have a nice meal, or maybe just with a friend. So you have the Chateau Vartley on the $12 to $15 range. And then you have the Gaia between the $45 and the $60 range. And I think that these two are of equal quality, but the Gaia Estate I chose. And it's going to sound like I'm seducing the wine when I talk about it.
I hope there aren't any children in the room.
So it's made from the Agrigetico grape. And in Greece, the two primary grapes are Assortico and Agrigetico. And the Agrigetico is red, the Assortico is white. And it's a traditional grape. This wine is refined red and black fruits. It's velvety. It kind of follows with like a little bit of plum, a little bit of red cherry, some fresh cut herbs, some ground spices. But it has this slight vanillin like hint of the oak that it's aged in, and it's aged in French oak for 12 months. And then it has an additional 6 months of bottle aging. Okay. And this has like a really intense, complex flavor, and it just grows in complexity. Like 2 to 4 years, they say, after the release of this wine, you're going to see some of its peak, and it can age for up to 10 years. And this particular vintage was an exceptional vintage. I know that we have some in stock, but we don't have a lot. It is something that can be reordered, but this particular vintage is not necessarily promised, just because I don't know what the allocation is. But we do have some. And so if you want something that is special, but not too extra special, it would fit just about any occasion, honestly. And I'm sitting here by myself and I'm opening a bottle.
You're, okay,
I'm not really by myself.
It's okay. That's what, you know what, Christina, maybe I will get you a Corbin. So then you don't have to open the whole bottle.
That would be ideal. Okay, Leslie, do you have one there?
I do have a Corbin, but you know what? I don't have the capsules. I have to get, but I do have a Corbin. I actually won it at a wine conference. Mm-hmm.
They're really awesome. They
awesome.
Actually are. If you don't want to drink a whole bottle by yourself, and you know that you just won't, it's kind of the way to go if you want to keep it for a little bit extra. So I'm actually going to show you a little trick while I'm doing this. So every corkscrew that you have, it doesn't matter if it's like the little exercise man, or whether it has an elbow or like an elbow here or no elbow. All corkscrews have 6 swirls. So if you like get that first one in there and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going to have one little screw right at the top. That's exactly how many times that you need to turn your corkscrew to get it in just at the right spot to pull your cork out with very little issue. And that is a really long cork.
Yeah, that is a long cork.
It is a long cork. So I think that this is an awesome wine. For those who may not have chosen it, I think that you should um, get some in your stock. It's going to stay for quite a while. But I want to tell you something else about this, which is kind of cool. If you look at the symbol on the bottle, I don't know if you guys can see that there. It's kind of like a little swirly symbol. So that's an ammonite. And for those who might not know, that ammonite is like the little seashell. Um, it's actually been around for some billions of years. And one of the things that Gaia is named after, it's their symbol because they say that it holds secrets of the land, and it travels all around the oceans, and it like carries all of the information of wherever it goes with it. And so it was kind of cool that they chose that as their symbol, because one of the places that it's originally like from is that area in the Mediterranean and over by Greece. They're found all over the place there. So I thought that that was kind of a cool thing about how they developed their name. But it's two guys who are agriculturists, by the way, and they're both from Greece, and they're friends, and they kind of had passions for it. And they chose to put two vineyards, one on Santorini and one on Nemea. And one grows Assortico and the other grows Agrigetico. They do some other things, but those are their two primary. And they put a lot of effort into tradition and then culture and then kind of new innovations in winemaking. But they don't do anything to this wine. There's no like chilling or additives. There's no filtering. They do fine it, like refine it, but there's no crazy like filtering processes that they go through. It's really all natural.
I
And I
think they
thought that
use
that
the
was kind of cool
egg. I think they use the
for the fining.
for the
Yeah.
for those who haven't seen it, it literally it looks like an egg, and I'm dating myself, but like more from orc egg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's a concrete egg that winemakers use. I've seen it in the Finger Lakes to age their wines.
Yep. It's
So it
really
doesn't
cool.
have any corners at all. And
Yes.
recently we posted on our YouTube page, and I'll put the link in it. But I sat down with Brian Smith from Salvetto, and
Yes.
he talked a lot about, he just came from Greece. He's really a specialist in Greek wines, and he talked a lot about Greek wines because they're the thing about it, and it's just between us here on the call, but Greek wines are super affordable, super affordable.
Yes.
And they're absolutely great. And I think part of the reason why a lot of people don't try Greek wines because the names trip them up and it's not familiar. Like even with European wines, you can kind of read the label, and or if you know the region, you know what's in the bottle. But a lot of people
Yep.
aren't familiar with the regions in Greece, and they're not familiar with the names, and so they stay away from them. But they're absolutely, I mean, the Greeks have been making wines for thousands of years. Um, they're really good
Way
wines
before us.
way before us. And the other great thing is like based on what Brian was saying, is that there's an influx of younger winemakers who
Yes.
studied in France, studied in Italy, and now have gone back home to Greece, and they're just making these incredible wines.
Yeah,
So,
they're blending these traditions
mhm.
and pulling from the land, which is what I think is fantastic. I mean, you can I know that you could probably agree with me on this, in that if there is a grape or an area that you're not familiar with and there's a wine that's made like for instance, the Gaia and Nemea, and it's made with the Agrigetico grape, you can almost always be certain that if a winery is focusing on its native grapes, its indigenous grapes from that area, or kind of that genre of terroir appropriate grapes, it's going to be something special, or it's going to be pretty good, because most of the time, places like this, like Gaia, even, and most of the other wineries in Greece, they focus on wines that do well in that area because they're very small, but they produce a lot of wines, and they really don't want to go, way too far outside of what is already doing well there. So they've been making wines from these grapes for a very long time. So it's not like it's going to be something weird or crazy or so far, in left field that you're probably not going to like it. You may be very surprised and even attribute the flavors and nuances of the wine to something very familiar.
I agree. I'm sorry. I'm just responding
Oh,
to
I saw
Alicia.
that.
And there is a local winery in Northern
North.
Virginia
Yep.
called a Mediterranean Cellars. And so I'm just putting it in the chat so people can see it. And they should, especially, we have a long weekend coming up. People should take a visit to there. So I want to share my wine. And my wine is, let me turn off my light. So
I'm really glad you picked this one.
okay, so people can see it now. Okay, now if I one day I'm going to get this right.
Turn the bottle downwards a little. There you go. It looks like a leaf.
Yes, this is Kita, and it is made by Tara Gomez, and she is Native American. She's the only Native American winemaker we have at Shades of Vino, and hopefully will not be the last Native American winemaker.
Good. She makes such good stuff.
She's incredible. She is absolutely incredible. It is a blend of Grenache, Syrah, and Carignan, and it's like 55% Grenache, and you definitely can taste it. Yep. It's you get that spice on it if you like that white peppery taste in your wine, you're going to get it. When I first learned about the wine, I really thought it was going to be like a heavy full body wine, but it's not.
It's smooth.
It's super smooth, and it's kind of hard to, it's not that like deep inky color compared to, like, if I was comparing mine to yours.
Yeah.
You can tell mine is a little lighter in body. If we weren't online, you could still see through mine a little.
You can kind of see the meniscus that it leaves just a little bit.
But it's silky smooth. And it is made, which is really incredible. It's made in California, the St. Inez Valley. And
okay.
And it's part of the land from her native tribe.
Is that, I was reading, I wasn't sure where exactly they were growing that. I knew that it was a kind of like that south central and a little bit inland.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually on their tribal land,
mm-hmm.
is where the grapes are growing. That's really awesome. I think Joe, I don't know if Joe's still on, but I think he got this wine in his, yeah, she did, Alicia. It's not surprising. She does some really awesome stuff. But I think Joe said he tried this wine. It was just really, really yummy. It was
he did say earlier,
it was so easy to drink. I thought that was a fantastic wine.
And the unfortunate thing is,
it's like intense.
And the other thing, well, there's two things. There may be three, but there's two things I can think of right now. One is a 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So it is ready to drink now.
It is.
Like, if you have it.
And there's no more of it.
And drink. Well, that was the second thing.
Oh, I'm so excited too. I'm excited for you because you're drinking it.
But it is drinkable now. Like, don't wait. Drink it now. It's 2014. The other thing that Christina mentioned there's no more. Like, say you missed a vintage, you'll just wait until the winemaker makes a second vintage. Keto wine label no longer exists.
This was a
So
special.
it is extremely special. So um, when we found out that there were some cases still available, we asked, and I think we bought like 4 or 5 cases of it.
Oh yeah.
So we were down to our last case of keto wine, and let me say 6 bottles. No, I'm just joking. No, we are down to our last case of
It's
it.
the last case.
So she
Yes.
did start a second winery with her wife, and it came into Dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not able to get that wine, but we're trying to locate her distributor, and we would love to carry her wines because she's such a dynamic and talented winemaker, and she's irreverent also. I like
Yes.
she just gives the industry the middle finger and she keeps on going. um
Absolutely. She's made, I mean, and Kita isn't like the first thing she's made either. She's done other things prior to that, and she has a um kind of a high profile resume, if you will, with where she's
yes,
worked and who she's worked with in the industry and where she's gotten her training from, just like her whole history and why she knows what she's doing.
yes,
And,
definitely. She's
and she's pulling from different things.
right. I completely. And her spouse is also a winemaker too, and has tremendous credentials also. But this is one of the things that's so important, and the reason why
Cheers.
I started Shades of Vino is because you can't just walk into Barney's Corner liquor store, what have you. I'm just using them for example. This is not going to be on the shelf, right?
None of these.
These are not going to be on the shelf, and I think it's important that everybody have an opportunity and access to it, and
Yes.
that we celebrate these unique wines, and we definitely celebrate minority winemakers, minority owners, female winemakers, because they're
Absolutely.
because if we don't celebrate them, if we don't support them, they just go to the wayside. Because let's just be honest, making wine is effing expensive, and we have to support them if we want to continue to have great wines from these producers.
It's the highest costing overhead of a business, and it takes anywhere from 7 to 12 years to recoup a profit on average.
So
It's insane.
we have to support it, and
Yes,
it's
we
wine.
have to. I think that's actually one of the reasons why I'm pretty impressed um, with what she did with Kita, because she's actually moving. She pulled from her roots, and she's
Mm-hmm.
still doing that, but she's pulling from different things, and she's utilizing the best of what she knows, and she's kind of moving the focus of her wines with each of these vintages or each of these productions in a different direction, so that she can kind of almost see what she likes best. I mean, I did that in the industry when I worked. I tried all different avenues to figure out where I really felt most comfortable, what aspect of it I liked the most. So it's kind of like she's fine tuning herself and not just saying, "Hey, I'm going to go
Yeah.
make wine." Yeah.
Yeah. And I like, okay, so I opened this one earlier so it could breathe. And yes, that's why. And
We're saying the same
and like
thing.
now trying it, it's just a different layer of flavors that it's there. Like I'm getting the red fruit. I'm getting fresh red fruit on the finish now, which I didn't pick up in the beginning on this wine. And I think like if you just had it open for another hour, you probably get another level of complexity.
Do you know what, the wine that you're drinking and the wine that I'm drinking, it reminds me of two very interesting things. It reminds me of my a family member's old like crushed velvet sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that crushed velvet, kind of soft, but has like a opposite texture
Yeah.
back and
Mm-hmm.
forth,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of has that little bit of uh, that velvety, crunchy give. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what do they call it? Velour, disco
Yes.
pants.
Yes. Just like the velour tracksuits.
Velour disco pants. And then the wine you're drinking, the Kita, the Spey, uh, it reminds me a lot like a silk pillow, like it's just like glass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's weighted, but it's not so big, but it's so smooth like glass. So you have those two totally different textures,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
both very flavorful, full, complex wines, but completely different textures.
And the flavors are pronounced, but it doesn't hit you over the head.
Mm-mm.
It's not like it's just standing there in elegance.
It is. And this is very rich, and I would call it a powerful, rich, velvety wine. It doesn't overpower. Like I could actually still do this with food.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely stellar. So we have a really nice range tonight.
We do. We have
I'm
a very
excited. I'm
nice
happy we didn't pick the same ones, honestly.
Me too. I was kind of nervous uh, that we were, but I'm glad we
Definitely.
didn't. And I'm so glad that, fam, you guys were like tasting along with us. And
Yes.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
Alicia, for sharing your favorites with us. We're going to start doing this more with our wine clubs, letting you know what our favorites are. And we want you definitely to share your favorites. With the wine club, we don't necessarily like stock up on the wines because we're changing every quarter.
Yes.
And there's only a few that we will keep and just like move into our regular rotation. So when they're gone, they're
They're gone.
gone. Right. We just don't have the space. Um,
And we can't
so,
hold them forever. I mean, they're meant to drink.
right, right.
They're meant
So
to drink.
if you guys like the summer ones, we have a limited quantity. We still have a few left, but we are moving on, and you're going to hear something really soon about the fall wines that we are selecting now. If you want
Yes.
to join us, we have space to do when we do our favorite wines again. We can add more people to um, the live. So if you want to join us live and add to it, please let us know and we will include you on here. So you just don't have to put in chat. I think we can do up to 10 people. So I think it
Okay.
makes for a very live discussion on our different platforms
Oh, for
here. And
sure.
I think I really look forward to having more people join us on the platform. The one thing
I
I
agree.
did want to do my like hokey sales pitch. I just wanted to
I
bring
was meant
everybody.
to ask you, you're drinking out of that glass, aren't you? That is such a fun glass.
It's owner's privilege. So we just added last month, maybe. No, I think it's this month.
You know,
We
that's
just
on
added.
Gossip Girl. That's the glassware they use on Gossip Girl.
Are you serious?
I'm completely serious. That's the glassware they use. That exact glass. It's in like every time they're out at like the restaurant or the pub or the girls are getting together, they have that glassware. Exact
So
brand.
we are carrying this on the Wine Concierge for a set of two. It is $26, and
Oh
they're
yeah. It's
super. They're great gifts
that's a
or a gift
no-brainer.
to yourself.
That
Happy
is a
birthday!
no-brainer. Leslie, I think you need to fill the other one.
I do. I do. Hold on.
You have
That's
a
not a
light.
hard thing. That's not a hard thing to do. I will do that so you can see.
Um, see, there you go.
There you
And
go.
see, look at that. It's so pretty. It's a pretty glass. Isn't it a pretty glass?
It is. It is. So I just want to let you know they're on our website. They're 2 for 26. And oh, Katerina, thank you so much for joining us. This is
Hi, Katerina.
we this welcome your first time here. This hopefully won't be your last time here, but we're just sharing our new our wines from our summer wine club, and we will be doing this to announce our fall wine club.
Yep.
Christina, before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I am just reiterating how fantastic these two are. The $15 range, the $45, $50, $60 range, Chateau Vartley, Gaia. There's not a whole lot left. I don't know which one is going to go into the mainstream mix, but they're both pretty limited right now. So definitely get your fill of the everyday drinker and the extra special. And for anybody that, there's a lot of people that watch, but they don't join into the live stream. And I've actually done that before because I've had to drive, but I turn it on and I've listened in the background, so not necessarily joining. So for anybody who's watching but isn't in the live stream, thank you so much and cheers to you.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Please join us next time for sure. We love to have everybody in.
And I just put in the chat the link to the club page. We talked a lot about the club, and people were like, okay, so really, how much is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of our wines are at $25 a bottle or less, like the ones that
they're everyday pocket wines every day.
Yeah. And it's free to join the club. It's completely free.
You can pause it at any time.
Pause it at any time. You don't start paying for your club wines until we actually ship them out.
And you select them, right?
Right. And our club wines, the 3 bottles start at, well, actually sometimes it's less.
Like 68.
Like 74 is like the
75. I was thinking, somewhere around there.
Sometimes, and I think in our spring we were like closer to like $68, what have you. It just depends on what our selection is. But anyhow, in addition to having the fabulous wines, this is the real kicker. As a club member, all of the other wines, because we're kind of different than most, we're an online wine store that has a wine club. All of our other wines, non-club wines, you automatically get 15% off. You don't have to add a code to it. You just put it in your shopping cart. It automatically takes 15% off. And if you buy 6 bottles or more, shipping is free. Like, there's a lot of bennies in joining the club, in addition to having some great wines to stick along.
And it's every quarter.
It's every quarter.
You don't have to kill your wine stash because you can't drink some of them through fast enough, because everybody buys wines. We don't expect that people only buy wines from us. They pick up wines from anywhere because they're meant to drink and enjoy. So it's like you don't want to overstock. So that's why the quarterly works perfect.
Yeah. And thank you. I'm sorry, I can't see your name, but thank you for the comment of some of the best wines that you had. I have to say, Christina is our compliance person, and she keeps me out of trouble a lot.
Sort of.
I know, most days, where we can ship or not. But Christina and I, and with a few others, we labor over what's going to be included, what's not going to be included, what is a good mix or what have you. So thank you for saying that, because we really appreciate it. We take a lot of care in what are we going to add and making sure that we have a balance for everybody in the club. So thank you so much for that.
And both Leslie and I are certified somms, so we have a clue too. We're pretty, we really have a good idea and a backbone on what to look for and directions to go in. And we're very open-minded with so many different things. I mean, kind of nothing's off the table with maintaining that focus and trying to give people wines that you can't just buy off the shelf. And it's not always possible. Sometimes there's a wine that's on the shelf and it's absolutely spectacular. And maybe it's just not very popular. Not everybody knows of it. It's maybe just sitting on a shelf somewhere, but you see it all the time and you walk by, and our job is to bring it to you and help you to try it and taste it. And we really want everybody to enjoy the selections.
So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Yes. We will be back next week, And then the following week is the 31st, looking at my calendar. And Alyssa from Red Wolf Importers is going to join me because this is going to be so much fun. Because we are tasting Cap Classique wines.
That's going to be really fun.
She has a Brut and a Rosé. And on September 1st is Cap Classique Date. And if those who are not familiar with it, this is South Africa's sparkling wines. And their sparkling wines are made in the traditional method as champagnes. So we are going to be trying those. And then in addition, in October, we are hosting a South African wine tasting. Alicia is an importer for Portuguese and South African wines. And it's October 12th. October 12th. And we're going to be tasting those sparklings, but we also are going to be tasting those other South African wines. And then lastly,
the virtual, mentioning that, right?
Yes. Lastly, we are going to have, thank you, Chanel. We are going to have a virtual happy hour to preview our fall wines. We have never done that before, but we are previewing our fall wines on September 7th. So look for the post for it, sign up. We're going to be giving away prizes. So you guys can see them and really get a feel of what the club is. And just, if you love wine, you'll love the club.
Oh, I mean, I think the virtual happy hour, like the pre-presentation for the club wines, is such an awesome idea because it gives you a little bit of sounding board, like a little bit of that step up on when you're making your selection. How do I know what to choose? You know, because a lot of people will oftentimes just revert to what we choose as the base tier. So like if somebody doesn't make a selection, you get the automatic choices that are picked out.
Right.
But having like that preempt, like that virtual happy hour to say, hey, this is what we have going on. These are the things that you have to choose from, I think is a fantastic idea to help people get comfortable and familiar with making those choices.
Yes, I completely agree. So make sure you mark September 7th on your calendar. We're going to be posting it soon so you can sign up for the virtual happy hour.
Yes, yes.
Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. Thank you all so much. Enjoy. Get your wines.